Okay, so each pen will come in a bag, and each bag is numbered and has a list of materials that you need to put back inside that bag when done. So this is bag 1, and on each 3D pen, you will see the number that coincides with the bag it should go back into. In each bag, you're gonna have a doodle mat, each one numbered as well. You will have doodle cards or challenge cards. These are not numbered, not a big deal as long as cards get put back in the bag. And then you're gonna have 2 green discs, doodle discs. These again are gonna be different in every bag, but as long as 2 go back in, that's fine as well. Some bags will have chargers in them, some will not, because we already have some hooked up for the charging. So if there is a charger in there, just leave it in there. If not, no big deal. Some of the bags are also missing their zipper. Just what it is. If it is, it's inside, maybe don't worry about it. I try to fix them if I can. Okay, on the pen itself, you're going to have an on-off switch. On the other side, if you open up the little flap, that is where you will charge the pen. On the top, the orange button is the start and stop and reverse button. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But to get started, you have to let the pen warm up. It takes about 15-20 seconds. So I turn it on and you're gonna see a red light on the top. Red light means that it is warming up. As it's warming up, I suggest that the kids look at the tip of the pen and try to peel off any excess filament that might be stuck on there just to clean it off. It's really important to kind of keep this pen clean as possible on the top. So we just have them kind of pick that off as they're waiting for it to warm up. Once it's warmed up, it'll turn green. Okay, your pen is gonna come with a set of filament, and this is the plastic that you'll put inside. So inside each box, there's the filament sticks. One thing to note is that this filament is pretty expensive. So because the pen only takes 1 stick of filament at a time, I suggest that the students only come up and take 1 stick at a time as needed, because if not, as we know, filament gets lost, it gets on the floor, it accidentally gets put in the trash can. So I just put the box up somewhere and make them come up and choose 1 stick at a time. To get the filament going, more than likely, because these pens have been used, there probably is some filament inside already. So the student can go ahead and just click once to get the filament to start to extract. And it takes about 10 seconds or so possibly for the filament to start coming out, if there is any in there. If there's not any in there, then we will hit stop, and they can place the filament stick in the top. All it does is just slides right in. No need to push down or force it in there. It slides in. They'll feel it kind of stop. They can press start again. And again, it takes a few seconds. You can hear it. Okay, and automatically just putting that in there, you can see that it made the other color that was still in there push out. Okay, so this is gonna be, like I said, the color that they might not choose right away. That's where they can just kind of take the doodle pad and practice doodling a little bit until their color comes out, or continue using the color that they were using until the new color comes out. So once that comes in, again, it's just 1 time you press to get the filament to start coming out, 1 time to stop it. All right, to get started doodling, make sure the students hold the doodle pen just like a regular pen. With their index finger here on top, they'll just press and stop the start button. To doodle, I encourage them to use the doodle mat. If they are using the doodle cards, these cards can be drawn on right on top of them. We don't want to have them drawing on paper or tracing anything on paper, because it will stick and probably won't come off. So as I tell students, it's a lot like a glue gun, okay? It's going to be like a liquid, and then it will get solid really quickly. So as they work, they want to kind of work at a good pace, but also realize that any big movements or sudden pulling up on their project will cause it to probably stretch. Okay, so when they start, again, you're holding it just like a pen. They're gonna place the pen as close to that mat as possible, not on the mat, but just above it, just enough so that the filament will anchor. And that takes a little practice to figure out how fast or slow I need to go. If I go too fast, it'll string it out. If I go too slow, it'll clump it up. So it's just a little bit of practice time before they really start designing. As you can see, if I pull up too quickly, or I like to kind of, as I go, anchor my pieces down, it will pull up and peel it off of the plate. Okay, let's say a student is done using a specific color and they'd like to change the color. I suggest that if the filament is sticking out enough so you can see it, or you can, if it's down in there but you can still see the filament in the hole, you can double click to reverse the filament out. So if I click twice, 1, 2, you can hear this change and you'll begin to see the filament reversing itself. Let it do its thing. Don't try to pull it out. You'll hear it stop. Then you can lightly tug on that filament. Now here's something really important to know. See the tip of this filament. We can never put this filament back inside of another 3D pen until we've clipped that end off. You're gonna see some little tracks. You'll see obviously the melted filament, but you're gonna see some little lines or places where it has grabbed into the pen. You're gonna need to snip that part off cleanly so we have a nice flat edge again before we use that filament. So I always ask students if they're gonna reverse their filament to come do it with me, and that way I can take that filament, cut it, and then put it back into the box. Okay, every once in a while we do have filament that might get clogged in the pen. Sometimes it's really easy to get out, sometimes not so much. So what I suggest is if you have a student that says that the filament is not coming out, one, make sure that they're not out of filament. So have them grab another piece of filament. Let me grab a piece here. Grab another piece of filament and stick it in there, okay? And you'll know right away if it hits and you kind of feel it and the whole stick doesn't go in as far as it usually does, that there's more filament in there. You might need to, when they start to turn it on, tell them to gently push on that filament just a little bit to get the filament to start coming out. They don't need, again, to push too hard. It's just a light push to allow that filament to start to come out. And there it comes. If the filament is just not coming out, in the box, there is a tool that looks like this. The teacher can use to slip in there and kind of just, again, gently push on the filament. If they don't want to change colors or they're just trying to, use what's left, gently push, again, never forcing, okay? But gently push. This tool is in there for teachers to use to help maybe get unclogged. Sometimes another trick, if it's, just not coming out, is to take a safety pin and gently stick it in the tip and kind of just move it around, pull it out, and sometimes that will help if the filament is clogged. If you try those things and it's still not coming out, please don't force it. Just put this one back in the bag, put a sticky note on the bag for me to let me know that it's clogged, and give the student another pen. All right, inside the box, you probably noticed like a manila envelope, which has some other types of projects, lesson plans, things like that for you. You can also visit the 3Doodler website. They have lots of great ideas in there. I have printed off some different types of projects that students can do on these pieces of paper. Something like this, different than the set of cards that's in there. The cards, again, they can doodle right on top of these cards. They're a laminated card. Anything paper-wise, if they're gonna draw their own pieces and 3D print them on a piece of paper, I just make sure that they put the doodle pad over top, because again, doodling on this, the 3D pen or the 3D filament will stick to it, and you can imagine. So using this pad to go over top, and then they can trace right over top of it. Okay, when students are done for the day, just a few quick things. Make sure, one, that they have gone through and cleaned off the tip of the pen. If possible, try to get all of the filament out that is in there. Again, if you don't see the tip, maybe just let it run for a few seconds. If nothing's coming out, that means it's empty. You're good. It just helps. It can stay in there. If it doesn't come out, that's fine. But it just helps the longevity of our pens if we try to get all that filament out before we put them away for the day. So getting that filament out. And then again, before they put them back in the bag, double check and make sure they've all switched them off. We don't need the tip of the 3D pen melting the bags. It's okay, it happens. So then again, everything that went in the bag, if it can nicely go back inside there for the next student to use. So 2 greens, one's on the floor right now for me, but 2 greens discs in there. Zip it up and it's all done.